Good morning, guys. If you're new here, my name is Kiara. Welcome to my garden. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm glad that you're here. Today is the day where we are finally going to plant these raspberries. So we got these actually a couple weeks ago, and they've just been kind of hanging out on our patio. We have three different varieties here that we're working with. This one is a can be thornless raspberry. So this is the only red thornless raspberry. And then this one is oh, this one says can be too. Did we get all the same ones? I thought we got three different ones. Oh, I remember now. So we wanted to get all different colors, but when we were looking at them, these were the only ones that didn't have thorns, and we wanted to start with thornless. So that was why we ended up doing that. We want our garden to be pretty kid friendly, and for our kid and for our friends' kids that come to visit. And so that is why we went with these, because we were looking at the other varieties and we couldn't find thornless ones at our garden center. And so our plan, it's all coming back to me now. Our plan was to just get these for now, to learn how to take care of them, see if they'll even grow well in this spot. And then we wanted to spend some time online and see if we could figure out if we could get like a black and a yellow variety that were thornless. That's what we did. So anyway, we're going to plant out these today. They're all the same. They're all red. But I'm still excited about it because raspberries are awesome no matter what. So this trellis area right here, this is where the raspberries are going to go. We grew tomatoes here last year, so that's why this cattle panel is here. We're going to take down the cattle panel. So the other day I came in here and pulled out all this grass that was in here. And you can just see from the other side of it, this all looked exactly like that. So there was a lot of grass that came out of here. It was actually kind of satisfying because I was able to pull out a lot of the roots and stuff, because this is pretty well wood chipped. So it was fairly loose. I mean, it still was a chore, but I got it all out. There's still some grass that's going to be taken care of. We're going to have to take care of the edges so they don't encroach as fast again. But we want to just for right now get these raspberries in the ground. The first thing I had to do was measure here. So on the tags for these raspberries, it said to plant them about 7 feet apart. And so that's what I am using my tape measure for here. And then once I had that in place and I moved the drip line out of the way, I started to kind of dig like starter holes, I guess, just to kind of mark where we were going to end up planting the raspberries. Now, I was starting to put these kind of like off center in the bed, which I didn't love, but I was trying to kind of work around these T-posts. And as I did this, I realized that these T-posts were exactly 7 feet apart. And so this was awesome. So what it meant was, since we were going to have to take these T-posts out anyway, even the ones on the ends, because for the trellising system we're going to do, they have to actually, the little prong parts or the little bump parts have to face out. And so we had to completely take out these T-posts anyway, and so that was actually really helpful. So I took down the zip ties that we were using to hold this cattle panel up. It was actually sitting in the center on the top of the shorter T-posts, and then the zip ties were just kind of like there for extra support. It actually really worked out great for us to take these T-posts out and put the berries basically exactly where they were, because they were also in the center of this bed. And then it was just a matter of taking the cattle panel out. We kind of weaved them in between these three T-posts, and so they were in front of two and then behind the middle one. So that took a little kind of maneuvering to get it clear of all of the T-posts, but once I did, I was able to take it right out, which was great. And then I decided to take out the shortest T-post first, which was the one in the middle, and this is where things got a little interesting. So I was pulling this out, and it sounds kind of like it's wet. I don't know if that's the cardboard we put underneath here that's making that noise, or if it actually is water. Let's see if you guys can hear it. Sounds squishy. Yeah, if that's water, this is not a great place for raspberries. Yep, it's water. So from what I've read, raspberries really don't like having their feet wet, which means they don't like sitting in with their roots in water. Now this might just be really wet, one because it just rained the last couple days and it is still kind of winter time. So I'm not sure if this would be a good thing for them over the summer because it is warmer in this part of our garden and they get a lot of sun. So I'm not sure if it would be a good thing if the soil ends up being cooler, or it would mean that in the wintertime they're basically drowning. I'm gonna have to think about this. Right, so it is several hours later, and I had an idea of what we might be able to do for this. Andrew and I talked it over, and we agreed that this is probably our best bet. So what we're going to do is we are going to use some of our leftover soil from when we built and filled these beds back here last year. We had just some extra soil that didn't fit in, and we are going to take that and create little mounds, one mound for each raspberry, just because it seems like we really shouldn't plant them directly in this very soggy soil. It's pretty wet and squishy sounding down there. It's probably not a good idea. So we're going to create a mound for each one, do the best we can as far as like elevating it just a little bit, and we're hoping that that'll give these plants just the boost that they need to be above that kind of like water line so that they can acclimate better to this area without drowning. And yeah, hopefully that'll work. So where the T-posts were are pretty much exactly 7 feet apart. And so I was thinking we would just plant them right there. We've been looking forward to this project for so long. Just not only did we want specifically raspberries and to be able to put them in this spot was really cool, but really what we wanted to create with the back part of this garden was kind of like a perennial loop to wrap around our garden beds. And so it felt really good to finally start on this with something that was kind of a big deal as far as one of the permanent plants go. We have so many ideas of what we want to eventually plant in this backyard, and we've just been kind of like piecing it together a little at a time. And I kind of like that it is that way. Sometimes, I definitely am a person that wants things to go faster and to look nicer and to just, get a lot done at once. But there is something really beautiful to be said about piecing a dream together one piece at a time and slowly building on it, and also just giving ourselves the grace and space for it to take longer is something that I'm always working on. And then the other thing that has been really cool about this is we've actually changed our minds a lot. So since we moved here, we've been kind of like drawing out plans for where we might want things, and we've changed our minds so many times and moved things around and added different things, right? So sometimes it's not even just putting something in a different spot, it's deciding that we would rather have something else altogether. And that is something that is a real benefit for kind of taking your time and going a little bit slower, is you really get to piece together what works for you. Now here what I'm doing is I dug out a hole for these raspberries. It is above the water line, which is really great. And then I kind of used a little stick that I found. It's a piece of some old plant to see where the new level line is going to be, like ground level, for that mound that I made. And I teased out the roots a little bit just to kind of encourage them. I didn't do too much with these. I mostly just wanted to kind of like help them out a little bit in case they were root bound. They still looked pretty good, and so I felt like they were going to do really well here. And then it was just a matter of putting our drip line back into place with a couple pins. Since this day, I've started to plant a couple extra perennial herbs and things like that around the mounds of the raspberries, and also starting to put like some sweet alyssum and things like that for ground cover. So we'll have even more food growing in this space over time. Now for our next steps, we are going to put more staples in to kind of hold down our drip irrigation system, mostly for our dogs so that he doesn't mess this up too bad. And then we do want to mulch this with something to just kind of cover it all at some point, but that's going to be a later project. As far as supporting the raspberries, we are going to put 2 of the T-posts back in. So there's going to be one on this end and one on the far end on that side. And then Andrew found these really cool clips from Tractor Supply that if you face a T-post with the teeth out, you can then put these kind of like clips to support the raspberries, like for 2 tiers. And then I'm thinking you run wire in between or something like that. So we're going to try that out and see how it works. But I feel good about the fact that we got these in the ground today. And as far as like support, that'll just be another day. Thank you guys so much for joining us in our garden today as we finally just got this small but significant project done. As always, I really appreciate the time you spend with us, and I'm excited to see you next time. Until then, have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.